last chapter here is going to be a short one, but really it brings everything that we've talked about in the last two modules together. And it talks about the fact that we have choices. Because remember, we talked all the way at the beginning about the fact that our fulfillment of this profession is kind of up to us, and that can be really unpleasant to hear. And it can be a really uncomfortable truth to sit with when we want things to be someone else's fault and we want other people to take action to move it forward, to make life easier for us. And all of those things are true. We want those things to be true. There are other people who should be taking action and doing stuff better. But again, we're focusing on the things that we can control. And one of the things that I want to offer you, a useful tool for when you're feeling stuck in the thick of not feeling like you have control, I want to offer you the tool of the four doors. The four doors is one of my favorite tools, which I still have to use on myself quite regularly. All right. And what it says is that in any given scenario, big, small, related to relationships, to workplace, interpersonal conflict, to global stuff, to, an interaction with someone at the shopping center, you always, no matter what the situation is, you've got four options. Every single time, without exception, there are four things you can do in a given situation that's making you uncomfortable or unhappy or whatever that is. And they will always be yours to choose, no one else's. The first door that you could choose from is to solve the problem. All right. Be a part of the solution. And by that, I mean really putting your money where your mouth is, or your time where your mouth is, or your energy, or the mental load, whatever that looks like. You don't just get to be like, oh, well, I told my boss about the problem, so I've done my part. If something is causing you frustration or discomfort or drain, you get to choose whether to step up properly and fully and be a part of solving that problem. So that means rather than taking it to your boss and going, hey, here, this policy sucks, you should fix it, you go, hey, I've got some thoughts on how we could improve this policy. Are you okay for me spending 2 hours this week drafting something and maybe putting together a little working group to get some broader perspective and bring back a solution to you? Okay, because you will find your boss is only human, and if you just put it on their desk, it'll go on their priority list somewhere next 2017. It just doesn't happen. So be a part of solving it and genuinely step up. Having an interpersonal conflict, be the person who has the conversation and then has it again and then raises it again. If that's not possible, though, if you're like, nah, that's too much energy, I don't want to be a part of being the solution, then your next option is to let it go. Now, letting it go means you actually have to legitimately let it go. It means you can't whinge about it after work to your partner every day. It means you can't gossip about it in the tea room whenever it comes up. It means you can't roll your eyes and huff every time that person speaks. You actually genuinely have to put in the mental energy that you chose not to put into solving it and put that same amount of mental energy into working through it, working through what it is about that situation that gets you so frustrated, and finding your own mental tools to let it not bother you anymore. If you have genuinely decided that the emotional investment or the time or money investment in fixing it is not worth it to you, then you have to choose it is not worth it to you. So you have to let it go. You don't get to hedge your bets. You don't get to be like, oh, well, it's not important enough for me to fix, but it's important enough for me to whinge about. All right. You've got that choice. Now, this is where things get more complicated, though, right? You've got the door number 3. And door number 3 is leave. Walk away. Walk away from the relationship, from the workplace, from the situation, from the conflict, from the policy. Opt out of being a part of that thing. Change your role, change your team, change your housing, whatever the situation is. If you cannot step up and solve it, and you cannot let it go, you need to leave. Because not doing any of those 3 options leaves you with only the 4th door left. And I'm not saying number 3 is a good option. I don't want to encourage people to all leave their jobs and leave our profession and leave their relationships. But what I am saying is that every single one of those 3 doors is better than not choosing, because not choosing leaves you in the default 4th door. It's like the purgatory, right? If you don't move forward some way, you stay stuck in the purgatory of the 4th door. And what the 4th door is kind of misery. It's when those things are frustrating you and they keep triggering you over again, and you're tense when it happens, and you're rolling your eyes when that person speaks, and you're frustrated by your partner all the time, and you hate your boss, or you hate your job, or your work is causing you misery, and you do nothing about that. You don't solve it, you don't let it go, and you don't leave. Sure, for one or two things, it's fine. We can have this little niggling interpersonal conflict and that part of our job that frustrates us, but we just can't be bothered with fixing right now. But when this becomes the overarching default response that you take to things that are annoying you, and they build up, and you have 5, 10, 15 small things and a couple of big things in this fourth purgatory door, you're going to feel miserable. That way madness lies, my friend. Now, to put a caveat on some of this, sometimes the fourth door is a perfectly valid place to be. Sometimes something goes wrong, something annoys us, something upsets us, and we want to sit with that. We might want to dwell in something that upset us that day. Somebody said something unkind, a relationship breakup. You don't have to immediately decide, right, I'm going to get out there and fix this, or I'm going to let it go and not let it bother me anymore. I'm just going to exclude myself from the dating pool. What if that looks like? It's okay to sit in this fourth door purgatory and grieve for a little while. To share a personal story of my own, I had a series of pregnancy losses whilst going through IVF to have my child. And there was a period of my life which was really low and really hard. And I wasn't a good version of myself. But I remember really distinctly my own mother saying to me one day, "Oh, isn't this what you do for a living? Can't you just, think your way out of this?" And of course, like everybody would, I wanted to slap her with my car. But the truth is, I wanted to grieve. I wanted to feel sad. It was part of the grieving process. I did not want to move forward yet because I wasn't ready. And that is a valid emotion. The only thing to be aware of is that it's a trap if you choose to stay there. So, for some things, a small thing, you might come home from a really awful day at work and you might have a glass of gin and tonic and be miserable for the night and rant and rave and go to bed early. And then in the morning, put on your big girl pants and start again and choose to, all right, I'm going to have a difficult conversation with that person, or I'm just going to let that go now because I'm okay. All right. Or it might be bigger. It might be something that's really, you might get fired from a job. You might lose a case that's really devastating, and you really need more time than that. And you might choose to sit in the fourth door for a week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever that is to have the appropriate amount of grieving process. If it's bigger, you might stay there for a long time. But the key differentiator here is to know that you're in purgatory. And the only way out of that fourth door is by choosing one of the other three. And when you are ready and when it makes sense, you do get to choose. It's hard work. It takes time. You can't just open the door to let it go and everything's fine. But you start climbing the really big stairs towards that door. Of course, the bigger the thing was and the longer you've been in purgatory, the longer the staircase up. But you still get to choose, and you have the power to see those other doors, right? This tool has been incredibly invaluable in my life, and I know a lot of people have gotten a lot of help from this because it really breaks down some pretty complicated stuff. And I'm not saying that things can always be broken down into something so simple and you always have 4 choices, but when you really are stuck and you can't work out why you've got so much negativity going on in your life, check how many things are sitting in the fourth door and which ones are you going to open a different one.